Absolutely, we're not saying that clinical governance shouldn't play a role. We completely understand, and we have always said that clinical governance must play a role. What we are concerned of is how they are playing that role. We have been made aware of members feeling that they're being targeted, and actually instead of it being an objective testing, we are finding that individuals are coming under intense scrutiny for actually non-clinical reasons, and we obviously as a trade union we cannot accept that going forward. It is important that mistakes are acknowledged, but what we want to ensure that members are actually learning from those mistakes as healthcare professionals. What we want as a trade union, and what we think is in the interest of both patients and staff, is for actually the development of staff and actually for them to learn from that. Taking a very punitive approach against staff doesn't actually address those issues. It just means that things will continue in the poor format that they are currently doing.
And you've said patient care could be compromised by people being unwilling to come forward. Are you therefore suggesting that GHA workers could hold back concerns over important issues that could affect their patients?
Well, we always recommend to our members in the health and care sectors, if anything goes wrong, you've got to report that immediately through the correct channels, and we obviously maintain that line. As I'm sure you would understand, that if there is a climate of fear built up, that those who willingly want to do their best in the behalf of patients, that they feel that at some point a target is going to be on their back from certain departments that have oversight of these matters, that this could actually damage patient care. That's what we're concerned about, is the bullying from elsewhere. Okay.
Well, there are some serious accusations implicit in what's being said here. Have you got any specific examples of this culture of blame and punishment which has given rise to this demonstration?
Well, we've been certainly made aware. Obviously, it'd be wrong to go into individual cases on television, but what we have been made aware, and we will be dealing with this going forward. We've made it very clear today that this walkout is the start of a very long journey in greater accountability and transparency in dealing with these issues, and we want members to be treated with the respect they deserve, and that will actually benefit patient care in return.
I will touch on one more specific case. It's a name that's been called out by several members of the crowd and one that's been ongoing for a while. You've criticised the handling of the investigation into bullying by the then medical director, Dr. Daniel Gasaglia. Can you explain that any further?
Well, what we're concerned about is the way it was handled. It appeared to be that it was one rule for one person, another rule for frontline workers, and we won't accept that. I'm sure you understand that if you had an assault to work with your cameraman here, you would be rightly be interdicted straight away. Why wasn't that done appropriately for everyone else? Everyone must be treated equally in the workplace.
Another mention there has been of the work being outsourced to a Sheffield company. In answer to GBC questions, the government has said that Pioneer Healthcare was contracted on a short-term basis to tackle a surgery backlog. What's the union's response to that?
Well, what we want is a transparent process of tendering out these services, and just to say in relation to that company, there are many others, and that is the problem that we are seeing going forward, is that it is not just that company that you mentioned. There are others coming in predominantly from the Sheffield area. What we want is a transparent, clear, accountable tender process that will give confidence to both staff and patients, so we know exactly who's running these services, and that there is no privatisation through the back door.
And can you confirm whether or not this demonstration is linked to the 6 suspensions that have happened recently, reports made by the GHA to the RGP, which they have acted upon?
No, the recent interdictions that took place with contact with the RGP is somewhat separate in this matter. We obviously accept, and I think everyone else would accept, that when the RGP needs to get involved in investigation, that interdictions may be necessary. What this dispute is about is very clear, is about the role clinical governance is playing in the health and care sectors, the issue of that, and then the effect that has in terms of low morale among staff, and also how incidences of bullying are not being treated fairly and equally across the health service.
And you've mentioned that today's the first step in a long journey. What do you think the second step should be?
We want dialogue straight away, and we will demand dialogue straight away to deal with these issues. It's very clear that you can see from the crowds just over there that this is not some small issue. You don't get a walkout without there being serious structural changes that need to happen. And we're going to demand that dialogue going forward as a union in the interest of our members, in the interest of patients.